Tzadik Vav Amud Aleph, correct? By Amar Rabbi Yochanan. I think that's 5 lines from the bottom. Okay, we thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. By learning, we should have Beis Hamikdash immediately. Starts like this: Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum de Rabbi Yosi ben Zimra. Yochanan says in the name of Rabbi Yosi ben Zimra. It sounds like we used earlier, because when it uses the term Mishum, it's not even his teacher. It's in the name of, right? Like it would be Rabbi Yochanan in the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. You know, it would be much earlier. Well, he says, Almana sheshasa shtayim v'shali shanim v'leitava mezainas ivdim mezain. Going to see shortly that what this is referring to is that she somehow got food out of it without the husband, let's say, passed away, and she got food, but now she has to pay for it. So it's been already 2 or 3 years, and she never claimed from the estate the money for the food. So if the mezainis, it's lost. She loses that claim. Gemara asks, why do you tell me 2 or 3 years? If you lose, yeah. If 2 is too much, so then 3 is for sure too much. The commentators have this question about if someone doesn't have the pasuk says but because if you take off your talis for 2 or 3 hours, you have to say in the bracha. They ask, what is it's 2 hours? What do you mean 3 hours? 2 hours is already you have to say in the bracha. So they say, well, 2 hours is during the week and 3 hours of Shabbos. That would be the amount of time that you wear it for. So anyway, over here, 2 or 3 years. What does it mean? If it's 2, then it's already too late. It says like kasha kan bania kan bashira. The difference is between why is 1 2 1 3. It depends if she's a poor woman. Then, if once she waited 2 years, then obviously she was Michael. Michael, she forgives the debt, the money that they owe her. A rich woman could go for 3 years, and up to 3 years, then she would be Michael. But not necessarily is she Michael. She has a big credit card. Inami kamba pritza kamba tznua. Or the pshat could be that this one is more brazen and is able to ask. And so for her, why'd she wait more than 2 years? She can ask. She can ask, for pennies. Every day she could ask. And the tznua, she's more modest. She doesn't want to go to bed, and she doesn't want to ask every day. So for her, 3 years would be the limit. What are we talking about over here? We're only talking about the past money that she laid out. And we're saying that she's being Michael. But she can still claim for the future. That's a very important point. Doesn't mean that she dropped the entire claim. It just means in the past. Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan has a question. How do you pronounce that?
Is that the word? Is that what they put it in the Rashi? Because there's a few times Rashi that start like this. Silent. By Chananana.
Yeah. By Chanano.
Right. And it says it should be 3.
So Rabbi Yochanan says the Yisraelim say that we prepaid. We gave you money in advance. And she says, I never took the money. So who has to bring the proof? Basically, what the Gemara's question is, who is considered the mitzi?
Right.
Who's the muhsik and who's the mitzi? Is it the woman's money and they have to prove that they gave it to her, or is it their money and she has to prove that she didn't get it yet? Or is that the opposite? Let's see. Amila viraya. Nichse becheskas yasmi kaimi. The husband's property. Is it in the possession of the orphans? And then the widow has to bring a proof that that she's owed the money. Or maybe maybe whose money is it? It's the estate, but there's money that's designated here for food. Is that considered the woman's money? And then and then the orphans have to prove that they've already paid it. Who's taking away from who? But where's the default status of this money? Is it in her? If I say if it's in her possession, then it means that she has it already. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it's in her possession. I want to say that it's in her rights. Right. Well, she doesn't really inherit the husband. She gets two things. She gets food and she gets a ksuba. Here we're dealing with the food. So we're saying, do we say that this food right now, it belongs to her even though it's in there? That's the idea. It belongs.
So, the only way we could get her husband's estate is if they had no kids. Otherwise, the kids would always be the estate.
Right. I don't think she ever gets the estate. She lives off the. She can live off the estate, but she doesn't actually own the estate. Does the wife inherit the husband?
That is right, but the husband does have the right to make gifts to his wife.
If there's no children, it goes to his relatives. Isn't that right? Right. Right. But even without the sons, I don't think the woman, the wife inherit. Oh, that's well, he can leave it. Okay, so the question here is, where's the default status of this money that's supposed to be going to the widow? Is it in her jurisdiction, and then they have to prove that they've already paid it up? Or is it in their jurisdiction, and she has to prove that she didn't receive it yet? Tashima, come and listen. The Tani Levi taught Almana, a widow, calls Manchli Nissus. As long as she's not married, remarried, that is, Allah Yasaimim Lahaviraya. The orphans have to prove that they've already paid it, which means it's really in her jurisdiction. They want to get rid of her, they have to prove that. Nissus, but once she is married, then she's going to get back pay for food that she spent or something, then Alel Lahaviraya, then she needs to bring that proof on the past years that she. Okay, Amar Rav Simi Barashi Ketanoi. Rav Simi Barashi says that what we're learning over here, who's the actual owner of the estate of the money that's going to her from the estate? Is it the orphans or is it her? Ketanoi. That's a machlekes tanaim. Because it says like this: Mecheres v'keseves elu lemezainas macharti ve'elu leksuva macharti. When she's selling off property from the estate to be able to get food or sustenance or for the ksuba, so she has to write in the document that this I sold for food, this I sold for the ksuba. Div Rabbi Yehuda, that's the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yisrael mecheres v'keseves stam.
When you say mujeres, brother, what does she have?
She's able to sell property to get food. No, but she's grabbing it. She's taking it and selling it.
Someone else owns it. The uncle passed away, passed it on to the Yitzchak.
No, but she has rights to it.
We had a tenant jurisdiction not married. Great, right, but I'm late.
Go into Yitzchak now.
Yeah, we said like
The brother.
tafsa and different things she can grab. She's not supposed to
What
take
happens if
metaltalin,
What
right?
happens if he stops? What do you mean? I'm now planting, I'm watering, I'm paying employees, whatever. I'm a technical. Get out of here.
Yesterday we said if she takes metaltalin, there was a
How does it
machlokes.
really work? I mean, where's the
Top,
what's called mamish? The lady has to call on every single time.
top says a concept of self-help. You don't really have an equivalent in our law where if you have a right to supplement the law, then you can go and take it. However, if you come to basin in advance and say, I have a right to, can I take it?
And what happens if he takes it now?
What if you say, look at the gun?
Start off with the easy. Just says no, you can't.
You can't take it.
I mean, how can
Then
you
she
take a
has to go,
field?
then she
In
has
other
to
words,
go to
how
basin.
could she take a field and sell? It's not like an item. I can pick this up and sell it. She's talking about a field. He's talking. He's sitting on the houses there now. He has workers there. How could she sell it? She has no title. She has no
But
papers.
haven't we learned that there's a concept called adverse possession of the land? She can act on land as if it's hers.
That's when no one else was. No one was.
Because you're positing practical problems.
Yeah,
The
I'm,
practical problems.
yeah. How
I'm saying that theoretically.
if
it
the
is
guy's not
possible.
there, yeah, he lives never am in the field is a good start. So she can go and say, hey, want to buy it? Here, I'll give it to you. But then what title is he gonna have when this one comes back? Give me my land back. No. Okay, so she had a right. She had to pay for something to identify ownership itself. It doesn't say gave. It says mocheres. Mocheres needs a title somewhere.
It needs some act that's consistent with ownership.
To simplify it, what we can say is that there was property that was designated for her to take her sustenance from.
So where's the title?
The husband passed away and was leaving an
Right, yeah.
estate, and there was, let's say there was a field that's been designated. From this is where she's going to get her sustenance. Then it would make sense that she could sell it. She could sell it, and from that she's going to get
So
sustenance.
she has title on.
Right. Well, she has the rights to get her, to take it for her sustenance. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be that it was designated. Even if it wasn't designated, she still has rights to all of it to get her sustenance, just like the orphans have the rights.
What title?
You're asking for
Right.
I think so. Okay.
all these issues around what if there's a mistaken assumption in the sale or purchase of real estate. That kind of thing is coming up, isn't it, in the next doc?
Tell me again, if there's a
Mistaken assumptions and problems in the purchase of real estate. Isn't that what we get into with the drought and the hard out?
yeah, that's going to show up over here.
It's a good question. I have to figure it out. Still over there.
Okay, so when she's selling this property, she has to write. She has to specify what she sold it for, if it's for the sustenance or for the ksuba. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. It's better for her not to designate what she's selling it for. The reason is because
There has to be some ownership. Rashi even says here. Aleh viraya mishmises ena nechasim bershusa. That they're not in her possession.
yeah, that's one side of the story.
Okay, but I'm using the word bershusa. Bershusa means possession.
Right.
Does that not mean ownership?
No, that means that under whose jurisdiction is this right now? Who's the main person in charge of this? So if we say that it's not in her possession, then she has to prove.
So it's her husband who still owns it. It's in her possession. She has the right to sell it.
Right.
So the ownership, the title still says her late husband. and she brings proof that she's entitled because of Mizainis. That's the next Rashi. So she's right.
She's selling her husband's estate. She's selling off property. And okay, so what would be the benefit? What would,
See the wheels.
Because it can separate possession from ownership of title. So
I agree.
either she owns it in her
But it
possession,
couldn't
or
be his, her
it's
her
hers.
brother-in-law.
It's
That's what I'm
hers,
trying to
and
say.
they're just guardians of the land for her benefit. House, what if she's hungry?
What? So can't know that. All I'm saying is just clear in the title of the just get everything. This field is designated for her. The bunch is okay. Very good. Thank you.
so the benefit to her not saying specifically what she sold it for is that she can come back, let's say, and take for her ksuba from property that was sold. From Mizainis, she can't take property that was sold. But if she keeps it vague, she can say, oh, what I sold before was for Mizainis. And my next property that I'm taking away from a purchaser is for the ksuba. Well, my lab hakamifgi. What's the machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosef? These are the students of Rabbi Akiva. Machlekes is the Rabbi Yehuda Damar by Lafrushe. He says that you have to specify what it's being sold for. Savar nichse b'cheskas yasmi kaimi. That the who has the rights to these properties is the orphans. And if she's going to sell anything, she has to prove exactly what she's selling it for. Rabbi Yosef said, why? Why not? Why doesn't she have to specify? Because let them bring the proof. Let's say everything gets used up. She sells everything. So then she can go to the lekuchas and take for a ksuba. If she sold it for a ksuba, then she can't take, if she sold those properties for a ksuba, then she can't take away property from Mizainis. That's like has no end. So you can't take away property like that for Mizainis. But for the ksuba, she can. The Gemara is trying to explain that maybe what it's referring to here is who has the rights to the property, depending on if she has to specify what she's selling it for. Gemara says, "Mimai, how do you know that this is the case? Really, the rights to the property is in the hands of the widow. And the orphans have to bring the proof. So why does Rabbi Yehuda say that she has to specify? Rabbi Yehuda was really not saying that she has to specify. He was giving her good advice. People shouldn't say that she's a glutton and she was selling everything for food. Because what would happen then? It'd be hard to find her shidduch if she has such a high, she's high cost, expensive wife. They don't want her to look like a glutton. So she should say that this I sold for Mizainis, this I sold for the ksuba. Shouldn't look bad for her. Yeah,
This would be common knowledge. Would find out.
I guess so. In the villages, I guess everyone spoke.
Isn't Mizainis a fixed amount? It's very small.
Mhm.
Enough bread for a day. So it's gonna look up when we started.
Yeah, we did have before that there is a set amount for the famous. I guess even though there's a set amount, it looks like maybe she's selling more. Maybe that's what it looks like.
Or maybe she's getting dishonest. She doesn't eat much, so she's selling what she doesn't use. That could be.
But then the expression Rav Sanusa wouldn't go with that. Right. She needs 2 pieces of bread. She needs extra food. But I forget where we had. We said what was the price of the Zainab.
2 loaves a day.
Something like that. Okay. If you don't say that everyone agrees that the property is in the possession of the widow, and why are they telling her to specify? That's because so it doesn't look bad. So who asked the question originally? It was a question that was Rabbi Yochanan asked. Who was going to be believed if they say they paid, or if she says she never took? Who would we believe? That was Rabbi Yochanan's question. Tifshalei Masnisan, let him answer from the Mishnah. The Mishnah later on says, that she's able to sell. And she writes, she has to say that. So that would be obviously if Rabbi Yehuda's view is, if we would say that Rabbi Yehuda says that it's in their possession, we have our answer. That's why does she have to specify? Because it's in their possession, in the orphan's possession. Obviously, what's the reason in the Mishnah why she's specifying? It's not because it's in their possession, it's because they don't want it to look bad. So come to the Brisa, same story. In other words, it was possible to say that Rabbi Yochanan didn't know the Brisa, and that's why he asked the question. But we can't say that he didn't know the Mishnah. And since the Mishnah and the Brisa say the same thing, obviously the Mishnah wouldn't be approved. Now, why is the Mishnah not approved? Because we could say that maybe Rabbi Yehuda is just giving practical advice that she shouldn't look bad, but it doesn't tell me whose jurisdiction it's under. Oh, if that's the case of the Mishnah, then that would be the explanation of the Brisa also, when we don't have an answer from the Brisa. Now the Gemara flips it around to the other side. Maybe we can say exactly the opposite. Everyone agrees that it's in the possession of the orphans. By the time of the Rabbi Yossi, what's the reason for Rabbi Yossi? Kedabaya Kashisha, like Abaya Kashisha said. We had Abaya Kashisha before, but now we have a new statement from him, Abaya the elder. What Rabbi Yossi says, she doesn't say why she's selling it. What is this similar to? Someone's passing away. He says, give 200 zuz to my creditor, so and so. The guy takes in. The problem here is that he used the word tenu, which is to give. He could say that I took it for the debt. He could say I took it as a gift. He didn't say exactly why you should give it. Well, that's just a description of the person. That's not saying why he's giving it. He said use the word tenu, which sounds like a gift.
Not about fight.
No, but it's a modifier of the planing. It's not necessarily defining the money. Could be defining the money. It could be just defining which person. Yosef, which Yosef? My banker. Yeah. Oh, maybe if that's the case, then I would answer the question. Was there any? Did we say that it depended on her life? Yeah. We said if he was wealthy, then it was according to how much he could afford. So it would fluctuate. If that's the case, then that would explain why she's getting a bad name for spending so much.
Maybe she was asking for more, but I don't think they're obligated to give her more.
Didn't we say a kolafi at the end of the parak? Said that it's on 64.
Maybe I misunderstood it. Maybe there's a
But
minimum.
medvar mamur and bani shabi Israel. I've been mechuber a kolafi koide.
What's it
Mm,
referring to there?
Food and stuff, food and clothing.
From her husband or from her husband's estate?
Well, if he's feeding her through a shalish, through a third person,
So the
says how much.
husband's still alive.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the halakha comes out very strict there.
Okay. So immatana naitlan lekach yafekaichai. If he takes him as a gift, then he will lose out a little bit because let's say they don't give it to him right away. As a gift, he can't take the money from someone that has it. If it's a debt, he can take it away from someone that's already purchased it. As a lien. Ketzad mecheres. Now the Gemara says, how does she sell?
Does it make sense that he told Yankel was going to give her a gift, but that he actually told Yankel, you should know, I'm planning to give you 200 Jews. Because you were so nice to me, whatever the reason is. So now he's passing on, he's balchov because I committed to it.
Oh, that's what you mean.
I
No,
don't
I
know.
think of the
Why
pshat over
does he
here
get the-
is the pshat over here is that he had borrowed money from this person,
It's not a matana.
and he's saying on his deathbed, give this person money. Now, if they have instructions on the deathbed, and it says if the money is already in this it's as if it's been given. Otherwise, in order for the person to claim it, he's going to need to.
So that's what I'm saying. So
Going to need to swear, and it's the whole process. Okay, Ketzad Mecheres, what's the process of selling to be able to get food? Amar Rav Daniel Barav Katina, Amar Rav Huna, Mecheres Achas L'Shnei Maser Chodesh V'Lekeach Mefarnes Achas L'Shleishim Yom. She sells once every 12 months, and the Lekeach pays it in installments. Every 30 days, she gets a sum of the money, and that way she has money for food. Rav Yehuda Omer Mecheres L'Shish Chadashim. She sells once every 6 months. And the lekeach pays in installments once every 30 days. So the installments are going to be once every 30 days. The question is, how much are they selling off at a time? Tani Kavasei Rav Huna. You have a support for Rav Huna. That the lekeach pays once every 30 days, but they sell for once every 12 months. Tani Kavasei Rav Yehuda. You have a brayso that supports Rabbi Yehuda as well. Okay, the support for each. Amar Meimar says, Meimar says that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. They sell it for every 6 months. Amalei Ravashi la Meimar de Rav Huna mai. What about Rav Huna? Amalei leishmieli. Because I never heard of that, which means which means I don't hold of that. Not that you sell for every year. According to him, you sell for 6 months. They asked the question from Rav Sheshas. Very interesting question. The woman is selling off property because she needs money for food. She never took her ksuba yet. So she sells every 6 months, and she uses that money for her sustenance. Now she decides she wants to get a ksuba. Well, we know which field she wants, the one that she used to have. So she goes to the lekeach. Says, "You purchased the field from my husband's estate. I know I was heavily involved in that, but now tough luck. My husband owes me money, and for the ksuba, and takes the whole field right back. Everything that she's been selling every 6 months, she She takes it back. Is she allowed to take it back because it's coming from her husband's estate? And the debt to her comes before the purchaser, because the ksuba.
What is she paying back?
Well, he'll have to deal with getting the money back from the estate. Yeah, there's going to be achrayas, of course. Property. I assume there's achrayas. But can she go and take it away? So, Rabbi Yosef. What they're really asking is according to Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef Amalta de Zavin. When a widow sells achrayas ayasmi, the guarantee is not on her. It goes back to the rest of the estate. Where's the money going to come from? It's going to come from the orphans. So they have to pay up that guarantee. Follow what she's doing? She's selling property, taking it back, and the bill goes to the orphans. Beidina, she's selling it off every 6 months.
Then she takes it back.
Then she takes it back. Right. She gets the same field back, which I guess that would be convenient for her. Beidina dezav and achrayas yasmi. The same thing as if the court sells. The achrayas is on the orphans. My. So what do we say now? Given the achrayas yasmi, since the responsibility is on the orphans to tarfa, she can take it away for the ksuba, and then they'll go back and collect it from the orphans. They tell her like this. I understand that if some foreigner would show up and say that the property that you purchased really belongs to me, I'm a creditor, and I come in and I take that property away. You purchased it after I already had that lien on it, and so I take it away. So then they would go back to this purchaser would go back to the orphans and take the guarantees. But if she herself is selling it and she herself is taking it away, shouldn't she be the one to guarantee it? I understand that you can't take that she's not going to take responsibility from someone else. But what about her own actions? Shouldn't she be responsible for her own actions? Amalei, so Rav Sheshes responded, Tanisua. We have this in a brayso. It says, Mecheres v'hayeleches ad kadei ksubasa, v'samach la shetigva ksubasa min ashar. She sells for food up until the amount of the ksuba, and the rest, what's remaining, she relies on that she'll get her ksuba.
She can't double dip.
What it sounds like. Shmamina, shira in, le shira loy. We see that she has to leave over in order to get her ksuba. She can't actually sell that off. Where it says, hadrinsa. Maybe we just don't want to give her a bad name. She's going to be, they call that Indian giver, that she sells it and then she takes it back. Does a lot of returns. Yeah. They would rate, like the purchaser rates the product. They rate the purchaser. They rate, this is right. So she's getting rated now that she sells it and then she takes it back. In Cain, Gemara says if that's the case, that it's just a good advice. Listen to would just say she should collect my samachla. What are those? That extra term that she relies on it. So that extra term sounds like it's only if she can only rely on it if she left over extra property for ksuba. Otherwise, she's going to lose it.
What grounds does she have to ask for some of the back?
Well, she has two claims. One is she wants to live.
Right.
The other one is she wants the ksuba. She can take the ksuba whenever she wants.
Right. Yeah.
So she's buying time, sort of, right before taking the ksuba by living off the estate for as long as she can, and then at the end she's going to take the ksuba. So she sold property, and now she wants to take the property back because this is the guy. Hey, I can't believe you bought a property that there's a lien on it. She takes it right back. Yeah. Ibailo. Zavin v'lei tzrichole zuze. Hadri zavine, elei hadri zavine. She sold.
What's the husband and a market?
She wanted this money to be able to buy a certain type of property or certain merchandise. But then turns out that that's not available anymore. So does she go back? It doesn't look like it's the woman here. Or does it say that it's the woman that's selling? It doesn't say Zavna. Sounds like it's this. I'm not sure who's selling here.
The Quran just says someone. If someone sold properties.
So now maybe it's talking about the orphans. I don't know. Okay, and they don't need the money because what they needed the money for just disappeared. So Hadri Zavini, did they return and buy the property? Ilay Hadri Zavini. Maybe Hadri Zavini means is it a mistake? I don't need the item anymore. But I don't.
It was on condition.
Is that considered a condition? If it was clear why they were buying it. Right, right. Is it considered a sale conducted in error? Can the sale is reversed, or is the sale not reversed? What is done with that? Okay. Well, Shekayach, Tashima, come and listen. Do Gavit the Zavan Arler of Papa. Someone sold a piece of land to Rav Papa, the Tzrichale Zuze Lemizbantura, because this person needed the money to buy an ox. At the end, he didn't need that money. And Vahadrino Nale de Rav Papa Lare, and Rav Papa gave him back his land. Kumar says that's not a proof. Rav Papa Lefnimisher said Dino David Rav Papa went beyond the law. Can't prove from there. Tashma, another proof. The Hu Batsurta, the Havi Ben Ardar, there was a famine. Right? Batsurta means a famine.
This has nothing to do with Kesubos and Yisrael.
Drought. Would be.
This whole section right now has nothing to do with
Right.
This is about what you asked. A mistaken, if somebody has knowledge, in this case, I think if the buyer has knowledge, that he doesn't impart to the seller, is that a basis for the seller to know the seller? I think that's what.
But David Ben Ardai, Zavina Kuliamala Padnayo. Everyone sold their mansions. Everyone sold their house. So what happened was they sold their house to get wheat. But then the wheat arrived. They thought that there was going to be no wheat, and they Amalur of Nachman Dino the Haji Apani Lamarayo. The rule is that everyone has to give back the houses that they bought, that they sold. Yeah, the people that bought it has to give back their house. So the Gemara says, "Asamnami is vina betos habe the gloim milsadar bakule have kaima." Over there, they found out that the boats were right around the bend, and they weren't able to see it. But actually, the wheat was there the whole time. They couldn't see the boats coming because of the way the river would meander. So the boats were there. But if that's the case, then this could come out to be a problem in the future. No one's going to want to buy anything because they're going to say, "Oh, I found out that it really wasn't necessary for me to sell, and the whole sales off." Is there a drought every day? There is a drought. However, the halacha is that if they sold and they didn't need the money, then they it wasn't necessary for them to need for this money, so then the sale is reversed. I don't know. Remember that the guy that sold his house for because Shabtai Tzvi was Mashiach, and he ran off with he sold it for a coin, one coin. He said, "I'm not going to need this house here in Poland," and he sold it for a coin, and he ran off to Turkey or to Israel, and then he comes back. He wants his house back. Yeah, this would be based on this. It was in that book in the Lekel. Of Hamlin. It was her father-in-law's. Okay.
Is there a suggestion in here that the buyer had to know the ship was around the corner?
So that's what it sounds like. Here it's just saying that had the sellers known that the ships were around the corner, they never would have sold. On the other hand, Rashi says, but let's say the wheat actually came from a different source that no one was expecting. That would not be that would not annul the sale. This was just because there was a piece of information that the reality that they didn't know. Okay. Al-Marma, a widow, Bain Meneris and Bain Menasun Mecherish Lebebezdi. She needs the food, and she could sell even though she's not in the court, even out of court. Reb Shimon says, 1 second. When it comes to getting food, she can sell without going to court. When it comes for the ksuba, yeah, I didn't translate it exactly the way it says. I adjusted the words. What happened is like this. There's two parts to the marriage. There's the Arison and then there's the Nesuin. He doesn't support her from the Arison, from the betrothal. He only starts supporting her from the Nesuin. But he obligates himself in a ksuba from the Arison, from the betrothal. So from the betrothal time, if she's going to sell, she's only selling for the ksuba. From the Nesuin time, she could be selling for the ksuba or she could be selling for food because she's already living in his house. Okay, so we have a machlekes. Right, even if there's children, right? So, sorry?
It's a temporary,
Until she takes the ksuba and then she's out. Then she's on her own. The Tanakama holds that she can sell even the ksuba out of court, even for the ksuba. She can sell the property even for the ksuba out of court. And Reb Shimon says no, for the ksuba has to be in court. We understand what's going on when she's selling Minasuin. We're going to the Tanakama. Why are they selling it out of court? Because of the sustenance. Eliminators in my time. But why don't they have her go to court to get the ksuba? In other words, we understand that you're not going to bother the Besdin to sell for food. That's too much of a micromanaging, for the Besdin. But for the ksuba, it's a one-time thing. Meneris in my time, Amrul Misham China. There's different pshatim here. One of them is that she should have grace, that she should want to get married. If she knows she's going to have to go to court to get the ksuba, she's going to dislike men and she's never going to get married. One pshat. Other pshat, this is what Rashi's pshat. Other pshat is that so that there should be grace in their house. Maybe it means that she should have money easily so that people will want to marry her now. He wants her to be able to have that money. The husband wants her to have that money. So different pshatim here, and whatever it is, we're making it convenient for her to be able to get that money. Rabbi Yochanan says that he doesn't want his wife to be embarrassed in court. What's the difference between the two reasons? They look pretty similar. Chain, grace, or he doesn't want her to be embarrassed. It could be nai grusha. The difference is if he divorced her instead of dying. Well, if it's because of chain, well, the grusha also requires chain. Now, that people should want to marry her, right? That makes the shot better. People should want to marry her. He doesn't care. He divorced her. He doesn't care if she gets embarrassed in court. Kanan started in a Mishnah. She's divorced. She has to sell the property in the court. I understand why it has to be sold in court. That's because he doesn't usually he doesn't want his wife to be embarrassed in court. But it's a grusha. He doesn't care. She's divorced. She should have people that want to marry her again. Amani Reb Shimoni. We say that's not a problem. You quoted a Mishnah. That's because it's referring to the opinion of Reb Shimon, where Reb Shimon says he doesn't hold of chain. Shimon said that it's sold in court. Mina Erison. Right? So he doesn't have all of those issues. We're just Tanakama. Reb Shimoni Tanale Reisha, Mina Erison like Timkar, but we already have Reb Shimon's opinion. It says that from Erison you can't sell unless it's in court, etc. I could have thought maybe there's a difference between a widow from the betrothal that doesn't require so much chain, so much grace. However, a grusha that requires more grace, maybe I would have thought that should not be sold in court. So it says that's no. By the widow, by the divorcee, it is sold in court. Right. And the Tanakama says that from the betrothal, it's also out of court, even though both those claims is just the ksuba, and really the ksuba claim should be in court. But the Tanakama says no, we don't want it to have to go to court for either because we want it to have the money easily, or because we don't want it to be embarrassed in court. But then we have another statement that says, but a divorcee does have to go to court to get the ksuba. So now we said, why should the divorcee have to go to court? We answered that it was the opinion of Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon holds that for the ksuba you always have to go to court. So now we said with Reb Shimon that we already said that once. So he said, well, I could have thought that a ksuba from a widow from the betrothal that we knew has to go to court. No, a widow from the betrothal. So then she doesn't, over there she needs to go to court because she doesn't require so much chain. I guess because people will run to marry her anyway, that could be shot. But a grusha that would require more chain, so maybe she shouldn't go to court. The Gemara says, well, hanami tanina, kol shein lamazainas. It says if she doesn't have food, lasuyim, then kol shein lamazainas, anyone that doesn't get food. My love, who is that referring to? Lasuya grusha. It must be referring to a divorcee. Divorcee from the wedding. The Gemara says, "Lo lasi migureshes bein migureshes." It's referring to someone that's in doubt if they were divorced or not. I have to see this inside. Can you pass me a? Didn't we already learn this halacha, as it says in the Mishnah, the following generalization: and anyone who does not receive sustenance may sell only in court. Okay, this halacha was intended to add what? It must have been intended to add the divorcee, because and anyone that doesn't receive must be referring to the divorcee. Gemara says no. It's coming to include a woman that's it's uncertain whether she's divorced or whether she is not divorced. And Kid Reb Zera, the Reb Zera kamakam shamar migresh vein migreshes baal chayv mezainisah. The woman is her husband is obligated to give her sustenance until the divorce is final.
Migresh and migresh means in the intro.
Right.
That would mean.
It's uncertain if her divorce went through.
Right.
It's
So it's the intro.
right.
It was together. She actually.
And she can sell, right, and she can sell out of court. Tashima, just like she can sell out of court. Also, if she passes away, they can also sell out of court. If we say it's because he doesn't want his wife to be ashamed, he doesn't want her inheritors to be ashamed. But if it's because of grace, so that people should want to jump to marry her, the inheritors. What do you mean people should want to marry them? It's men. Ula explains that actually her inheritors is a daughter or her sister, and then we want people to marry them also. So we say that could be out of court. Okay, let's leave it here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
quick question. Yeah. So the person that was paying the almana every 30 days, that was like a reverse mortgage kind of situation where he already bought the property, but he's just paying in installments.
Right.
Okay. I thought that was like a very modern concept. People that need money regularly do a reverse mortgage.
Very.
But then, like, it seems like it creates some problems, right, in terms of contractually, how long is he going to pay for it?
Yeah. What happens if she passes away and he didn't pay it up?
Right.
Would the property go back, or would they would just give money to the orphans?
Yeah.
Well, how's it then?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. It's my different.
Thank you.
So your son is also going up? No.
No,
Or just-
Rocky's gonna come with us.
Oh.
Rocky's gonna come with us.